So you want to get a hair transplant, which means most likely you've got male pattern baldness. You've got questions like how my donor area looks like, is it good? How many grafts do I need? Am I even a suitable candidate for surgery? Shall I choose FUT or FUE? What is the difference? Shall I go with DHI? What can I expect? How low my hairline can be? And etc, etc. So all of these questions, I've been through it and pretty much every single person been through it. And it takes quite a long time, to research properly to gain this knowledge. And I'm gonna be creating a series of videos where I can be showing and discussing every single Norwood pattern and what is actually possible to do for such individuals. So if you find yourself being like a Norwood 4 or 5 like myself, or Norwood even 6 or 7, this series of videos is gonna be really interesting for you. And today we're obviously gonna start from myself. Of course, I already had a hair transplant done, but nevertheless, we still can analyze looking at my before my hair transplant pictures. So we're gonna discuss balding area, donor area. Am I even a good candidate for surgery with this particular, balding pattern? What kind of extraction method is the best for this specific case? And overall expectations, how many grafts required, how donor can possibly look, how low the hairline can be, etc. Everything gonna be based on my personal opinion and experience. Yeah, so let's do it. So I'm obviously Norwood 5A, and what A stands for, it means the hair loss starts from the front and goes back. And in my particular case, if you look here, it's just clearly, the whole front is empty. There's like almost no hairs. There is another variation for Norwood 5V, which stands for vertex, and it means that the general pattern is like the whole basically front, but the crown area is like a pretty diffused and actually balding quite severe. While for me, it's not the case. And of course, top view with the wet hair actually gives us a reality how the hair loss, like what's the extent of hair loss. And in this case, we can clearly see like the actual crown looks pretty good. It does not go as deep. And it's a clear Norwood 5A because the lateral humps are pretty high, they're pretty strong, so there's a quite narrow area that is thinning on the crown and the mid-scalp as well, but it's pretty severely diffused basically. Donor area is pretty good in this case, so I've got very long hair and obviously we can't really see much, but if we're gonna look at that picture, it's pretty strong. There is no clear sign of retrograde alopecia on the bottom. It's a little bit thinning on the very bottom of the neck, but it's pretty normal to be honest. It doesn't go high as well, which is great. The crown, again, we really don't see any sign that is like dipping down. There is a little bit like a few patches here and there that look a bit thinned, but that's basically the scars that I have, like a few scars here and there, from childhood. So that's, it's not a, balding or miniaturizing hair. Donor looks really great, really fake. Even with short hair, we cannot see any scalp at all. So it means there is a lot of doubles and triple grafts. And here I took the picture just to see how the actual density looks like. So again, a really great photo. I always suggest to people to send these kind of pictures as well to your hair transplant surgeon that you're planning to go, so they can actually see your actual density in the donor. So what is the best technique, you might ask, for this particular case? If you would take a decent size FUT strip from ear to ear, normally you can expect with such a donor characteristics up to like a 6 or even 7,000 grafts with like a relatively big size head, but because my head is really small, I've seen Dr. Bisank in person. Obviously he told me that it's gonna be like roughly 4,000 grafts or something. It wouldn't be like such a huge difference compared to what's possible with FUE in the same surgery basically. So personally, I decided to go with FUE just because of this, but FUT is still a super viable option. But again, if someone else with this pattern has a pretty big head, I would say definitely FUT would be one of the best options to get it as close to one and done type of scenario, which means you can get one large 5,000, 6,000 graft strip and basically cover all the area from top to bottom, But if you decide to go via FUE route, it's best to kind of split into the two surgeries to achieve maximum, benefit and maximum basically result. There's a couple of things that would worry me in this specific case, in my case, and this would be a drop of lateral humps over here. So if you're just gonna have a look at here where my extractions were done and my recipient zone marked with the blue, there's in between those areas, this on the sides, those are called the lateral humps. So far they're looking really strong and pretty good, but they have a chance to drop, which means they're gonna start to miniaturize. Because of my balding pattern and family history, there is a strong chance that it can go down if I'm not gonna be on any medication like finasteride. Hence why I'm personally using finasteride 1 mg every day, and I suggest to people that have Similar situation as well to really think about medication, because otherwise their donor capacity and amount of grafts needed would drastically go up. Just to cover these parts, like on the sides, not even touching the crown, would require at least 2000 grafts, if not more, you know. And considering that those parts are mostly like a side part when, you know, parting the hair like I do right now over here, if it's getting thinned out, they're gonna be really obvious between donor area and the top transplanted area, because it's gonna be really thin here. So usually these areas require even more grafts to kind of, you know, make it look like it's almost the same, like, you know, like a donor area or on the top. So this is very important to kind of monitor if you have the same pattern. Just, you know, keep an eye on it. And the crown as well, so it has a possibility to drop. So this is marked Norwood 5A crown, but it can drop to Norwood 6 all the way here. So my extractions are done in Norwood 6 pattern. So if I would drop to Norwood 7 at some point in the future, this would mean a lot of miniaturization of hair transplant, which is possible. That's why I'm trying to prevent it as much as I can with all the, you know, treatments that I'm doing or planning to do after my second transplant. And overall expectations wise, I would say if the extractions and the whole surgery basically was done really well, really properly by a really good surgeon, expectations wise, in my personal case, I think it's really great. I think it's really positive, and I believe I can achieve really good illusion of density after all my transplants, when I'm gonna cover on the second one the remaining area, obviously. And my donor area is still looking pretty good, and after the second one you still should have enough grafts just in case I would drop in the future to Norwood 6, and those grafts still gonna be pretty safe. But a lot of people that have the same pattern, they don't have such strong donor, they have much finer donor, and they might have a little bit different expectations. So again, it all depends on your personal circumstances, and when you are trying to like assessing and comparing results online, when you're trying to choose for yourself where to go, always keep in mind that everyone's going to be different. Like, everyone has a really different donor, and the donor is basically the key for you know, hair transplant success. So if you are any other pattern than Norwood 5 and you don't mind me doing this kind of style of video just to analyze what's possible, you know, donor area, recipient area, and everything what we discussed already, make sure to send them on my email, which you can find on my YouTube about page in the very end. You can send your pictures there and we can basically take it from there. I'll be more than happy to create like a series of videos like that to just kind of educate people and show real life examples. So do you want me to cover more of topics like this? Let me know in the comments down below if you like this video. Like it, by the way, if you really enjoyed it and you appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. By the way, I got a couple of headbands, and you know, my hairline actually looks really interesting when I'm actually pulling the hair back with those, and you can actually assess it pretty well. Just have a look.